everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wisconsin Weather Experts. We got a lot of recap to do. You missed us yesterday, but don't you worry. We have all of these I want to call them great stories, but unfortunately, a lot of flooding stories from East and West Coast.
Yeah, fascinating stories to be sure.
Yeah.
Some of them destructive, some of them even deadly. And we're going to start kind of focusing on the opposite coast. Things are relatively calm here in the middle, if you will, but storms, flooding on both sides of the country. They are our top weather headlines again today. We're still dealing with the impact of a double-barrel nor'easter. Here's the view Monday from Sea Isle, New Jersey, where the storm was causing some streets to flood. National Weather Service there said moderate to major flooding would be possible with that afternoon and evening high tide factored in. Moderate coastal flooding is ongoing right across that region.
And in New Jersey, too, a pair of kayakers were spotted floating down a flooded road in the coastal city of Wildwood. This video was posted to X. It shows the kayakers rowing through ankle-deep floodwaters after the nor'easter brought heavy rain to the East Coast. Now, while this may look fun, and it probably did go viral, you should never enter floodwaters on foot, by car, or by kayak, as they can be unpredictable, dangerous, and most certainly unsanitary.
Yeah, I think that's the part a lot of people don't think about.
I agree.
Right? The water just didn't occur there spontaneously, right? It had to go through a lot of very nasty areas and processes and drains and septics and everything else to end out on the street. So, well, it may seem like a really cool viral video idea. Stay out of floodwaters. Even if the actual water doesn't get you, what's in it might.
Yeah, absolutely. Good advice.
Can't stress that enough. Now, let's go off to the southwest. Heavy rains there causing flooding in Arizona. Yes,
Wow,
Arizona.
look at that.
Strong downpours turned wet streets into cascading streams of water. In Phoenix, rescuers say they found the body of a man whose truck was swept away. Just to reiterate our point there, it was swept away by floodwaters. And in Tempe, storms uprooted trees that tumbled over onto vehicles, onto sidewalks. One business complex had its roof torn off and thousands of homes lost power. Rains in Arizona began over the weekend, causing some emergency crews to make water rescues.
And the floods kept crews in the East Valley staying busy all night. Take a look at this water rescue. This was in Apache Junction, Arizona. Fox 10 Phoenix. Sky Fox was over the scene as rescuers got at least one person out of that car, walked them to safety. Now we're still waiting to hear from officials about this specific rescue, but it does appear that no one was seriously hurt.
These incredible
That's so scary.
videos, from a state that, like, stereotypically you think of as being dry and desert-like, and just came through the monsoon season, and now the leftovers of the tropical system as well. So we feel for them for sure. Priscilla, speaking of the tropical system, the storms there shattering a one-day rain record from Friday's system with a total of 0.92. Normal precipitation for the entire month of October is about 1/3 of an inch. Flood watches continued through the weekend where many streets were flooded. And of course, it seems just like this one. But now we go to California.
Yeah, heavy rainfall led to flooding in the San Desert region. Flash flood watches have been posted for some coastal areas from LA to San Luis, where 2 to 4 inches of rain will be possible today.
Which again, for that region, is an incredible amount of
Yeah.
rain.
Wow,
Now, still in California, we have snow to cover. Yes, the National Weather Service has issued its first winter storm watch of the season there. Starting this week, the California Highway Patrol, CHIPS as they used to be known, they are advising visitors who are planning a trip to the Lake Tahoe area this week to be prepared. You got to expect delays. And, of course, practice installing those chains on the tires.
Oh, incredible to see some snow for the first time.
Yeah, unbelievable, right?
Okay, and up the West Coast a little bit more. Take a look at this video out of Longview in Washington State. Okay, the Longview Fire Department captured pictures of roof panels flying off of this building as strong storms rolled through yesterday afternoon. So the National Weather Service says the damage was likely caused by a microburst, with straight-line winds gusting up to 85 miles miles per hour. Wow.
Yeah, tornadoes tend to take the headlines, right, with their rotational winds and, of course, the visual that we've all become accustomed with. But microbursts with the straight line winds, 85 miles an hour, can be just as damaging.
Yes.
and can really be a very widespread or sometimes very localized phenomenon.
Yeah,
fascinating indeed. All right, let's keep going. We got to go to Alaska now. Yeah, the East Coast, of course, feeling the brunt of a nor'easter. The Southwest is busy. The West Coast, like we just saw.
Waves.
People in Alaska, though, they're dealing with the remnants of a typhoon. Now, that's not something you hear about in North America very often, but they are. Flooding and hurricane force winds hit the Yukon Delta coast as a coastal flooding warning was still in place there. This video shows waves flipping over a boat in western Alaska where several people still remain unaccounted for. Even as of this morning, at least 30 people had to be rescued from that situation.
So it is active across the U.S. right now.
On the coasts, essentially, even as far as north as Alaska. Here in the middle, a little calmer, but that too is about to change.
Yeah, we're finally seeing at least a decent cluster of rain across the middle section, of course the northern tier more specifically, of some rain. So we'll see that rolling into Wisconsin here, I think later on today. You can see the nor'easter system is now out over the water, so the East Coast, there are still some coastal flood warnings, but should actually quiet things down here now in the coming days. You can see that area of rain across the Dakotas, Minnesota, Iowa, and parts of Wisconsin, and then still pretty active across parts of California. In fact, Los Angeles, just a short time ago, had an active severe thunderstorm warning. So amazing that the Brewers game is here in Milwaukee tonight, because otherwise it would get a little dicey, I think, later this evening down in California. And we'll get to the West Coast here in just a bit, but focusing in on our area, you can see most of the rain is still out towards the west, with the exception of a small area of primarily light rain just towards the east of Green Bay, although it looks like it's getting pretty close now as we speak. So all of this will continue to move eastward. It'll bring us in southern Wisconsin, especially southeastern Wisconsin, a chance for rain later this evening. So a lot of spots will still see dry time today, but we'll see the rain picking up a bit during our overnight hours. And look at this, I had to zoom in on a little bit of snow. It's not too far from us. Earlier this morning, there was some wet snow falling across North Dakota and northern Minnesota. Now it's transitioning over to more of that rain or some wintry mix, but interesting to see that getting a little closer to us in Wisconsin. Don't worry, that's not in our forecast for those who are just not quite ready for it just yet, and those people are me. Coastal flood warnings are still in effect, or coastal flood advisories in effect along the East Coast, and this is for the possibility of some of that inundation still up to about a foot at times, especially later on this afternoon along the coast, but this really should be the last day. They're expecting to expire either later today or tomorrow up and down the East Coast again as that nor'easter, that low pressure system really pulls out over the Atlantic. The Southwest, though, is still expecting to see some heavy rainfall. We've been showing this for what feels like, a full week now. Parts of New Mexico could see some heavy rainfall, as well as parts of Arizona and California into Nevada. You can see that Weather Prediction Center chance for some flash flooding or some heavy rainfall certainly still present across the Southwest. Also a marginal risk across New Mexico, and if you look very closely, a little sliver added just a short time ago near LA. I think because we've already seen a severe thunderstorm warning near LA. There it is. It's still in effect. There's also now surrounding it a flash flood warning, so clearly a very slow moving, if not stalled storm. And then the pink surrounding that area is a severe thunderstorm watch. And now that's in Los Angeles. Look at up towards, we'll say, east central portions of California, the mountainous region here. That's where you have that winter storm warning still in effect. And then into parts of Nevada, you have your winter weather advisory. 6 to 9 inches of snow expected at some of those high elevations. So the snow is still expected in those regions. There's a lot going on across California right now when it comes to the weather. Now, bringing you back closer to home, we are still expecting to see some rain across the state throughout the remainder of the day today, as well as overnight. You can see it really favoring northern Wisconsin, but even those of us down south throughout the, especially nighttime hours, will see some of that moving through. Could have a few showers linger into early Wednesday, and then we'll likely see some sunshine to end the day Wednesday throughout the afternoon. Now, we're going to stay a bit unsettled still. I do think later Thursday we could have a few light rain showers move through. None of these rain chances look to be terribly substantial, but at least there's something. We could see a little bit later Thursday and then more Friday night into Saturday. Only a slight chance really on Sunday, but we're going to see a cold front roll through on Saturday, and that's also going to drop our temperatures about 10 degrees from Saturday to Sunday. So we're going to feel a pretty noticeable change in temperatures heading on into the weekend. Now, as far as temps go today, looking out towards the northwest, highs only in the 40s for parts of Minnesota and the Dakotas, 50s for most of the state, except for down towards the south. La Crosse, Madison, Milwaukee, high temperatures today will be in the low 60s, and down south into Chicago, as well as northern Illinois, possibly even some 70s. Now, a bit of a roller coaster ride here. Do you think we're going to end up being a bit chilly tomorrow? There may be some spots that struggle to actually hit 60, but then we begin to climb on Thursday. And notice we have 2 days with highs in the 70s Friday into Saturday before that cold front rolls through, and that's when we'll eventually see that little drop in temperatures, and by little I mean about a 10-degree drop in temperatures. So we'll deal with a couple of rain chances for now. And then we'll have just a bit of a roller coaster ride when it comes to temps. Oh, and I do have one more graphic. I couldn't remember if I had one more or not. Here's your Brewers forecast.
Where's our Brewers forecast? There it is. All right.
Tailgating will be just fine. Just layer up, keep the long sleeves handy as you're heading home from the game. May encounter some rain in the area.
There you go. I would expect, we're not in charge, we can't make this call, but I would expect the roof will be closed more for temperatures than precipitation.
Yeah.
So enjoy and go, crew. Go. Now, we had a long list of things going on across the country. I want to go international now before we go to our commercial break. And tragically, rescue crews are in Mexico, and they are searching for dozens of missing people after widespread flooding there killed at least 64 people. Heavy rains over the last several days have devastated some of the communities in southern and eastern parts of the country. Thousands of homes have been completely destroyed, especially those built on riverbanks. One town was flooded by a nearby river, leaving more than 12 feet of water in the streets. From there, we go to Venezuela, where officials say at least 14 people are dead after heavy rains caused a mine to flood. Witnesses say the floodwaters rose like a volcano. Search and rescue efforts continued into late last night as workers tried to remove water from the mine shafts. The town where the flooding occurred relies heavily on gold mining, with most of its 30,000 person population participating in that job in some way, shape, or form. And finally, time is running out for our local flood victims, but it's a good thing because there is help out there. You just need to make sure you get to it in time. Flood victims, businesses in Milwaukee County, there is still time to apply for federal aid. Another disaster resources center is open in Muskego. It's at the City Hall on Racine Avenue. The resource center will be open all week long from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you're applying for assistance, you have just under 1 month left. The individual deadline is on November 12th. For small businesses, the deadline is November 10th.
Here you go, a couple more weeks to get all that paperwork filed.
I know, it is a lot, but yeah, once you get it started, at least you get in line.
Exactly.
Hopefully down the road we'll get some help from the floods that we experienced. Nothing like that today as the roof is open out at American Family Field. Thanks for watching. Wisconsin weather experts will be back with more. We're talking nor'easters, and there are a variety of them next.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. We've got a great story coming up about nor'easters.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about it, especially if you have any family or friends on the East Coast. And if you heard about last week's storms on the East Coast, did you know that nor'easters, though, can have other names? Meteorologist Holly Baker explains.
If you've ever lived on the East Coast, then you've probably heard the term nor'easter before. Well, did you know that there were different types of nor'easters? There are two different types. Today, we will go over the Miller type. So we'll go over the Miller A type and the Miller B type. As far as a nor'easter, we're actually bracing for one for this week that's going to affect the East Coast. So we're going to start with the first type, which is the Miller type A, and it's going to be all based on how it originates. As I step out the way so that you can see this graphic here, the Miller type A typically develops in the Gulf or along the southeast coast along an old front. So it pretty much intensifies as it moves up the coastline. And so when that mid-Atlantic and New England states, they're usually the ones that get hit harder. And so in that case, whenever they get hit harder, that comes with a lot of different impacts. So they could have hurricane forced winds, coastal flooding, and even in some cases, dumping a lot of heavy snow. So in this case, this is just a little bit more of a breakdown as you see the color schemes there. Even you can have some ice that can occur as far as South Georgia and into the Carolinas, as well as even severe weather possible in Florida. So just to break down the Miller type A nor'easter type here, we can, whenever this system pretty much originates in the Gulf and it continues to pretty much go and propagate northeast, then that's whenever you're going to get all of these different impacts. Very, very strong winds are within these systems that move. On the backside of that system, you get a lot of snow that can fall. So it can bring snow in one area while it brings ice in another area, which is this purple. And even the areas down south will even be affected as well. They'll get a lot of rain, and even along the coast, the entire East Coast there, those coastlines will be affected as well. A lot of beach erosion could happen during that time. But now let's go to our Miller B. So our Miller B nor'easter, as you see here, is pretty much going to propagate a little differently. So it's going to originate in an area of a low pressure over the Midwest. So that nor'easter will start in our area here in the Midwest, and it'll move pretty much into the east direction. So it will move towards the East Coast. This low pretty much weakens as it hits the Appalachian Mountains, and that's because there is a lot of mountain terrain and different levels, so it could interrupt it a little bit. But then another low pressure is subject to form on the east side of the mountains close to the coastline. And when that happens too, you have the warmer Gulf Stream with the water that's warmer. It helps intensify it as it turns northward. So in this case, a lot of heavy snow in New England as well as the mid-Atlantic. So whenever we see these very big snowstorms pretty much floating through our area or through the Midwest, and then they take a northeasterly track, so this is pretty much the track it will take, then that is the Miller B type for a nor'easter, and that it pretty much gets interrupted here through the Appalachian Mountains, but then it redevelops again and continues to intensify because we do have the Gulf Stream that pretty much brings water towards the northeast as well. That's kind of how the water pretty much streams along the coastline. So those are the two different types of nor'easter, but in this case for this particular weekend, we are dealing with Miller type A, not Miller type B. We're dealing with Miller type A, which is going to bring a lot of at least coastal impacts as well as strong winds, even possible flooding in some areas really across the entire Northeast.
And those storms are just huge for coastal flooding, as you just heard. The coastal flooding, the wind aspect of it brings in essentially storm surge. Storm inundation is what they'll call it sometimes in a lot of their flood advisories or flood warnings, but it is essentially the same as storm surge.
Yeah, and a lot of erosion for, beaches and areas out there. So it's just overall a big mess for portions of the East Coast that have been dealing with this. So thankfully, we're talking a little bit less of the storms for the East Coast, but we're talking more about snow, in fact, as we're going to be coming up in just a little bit. So stay tuned with us. We're going to have a lot more after the break.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wisconsin Weather Experts. Well, we covered a lot so far during the show, including, of course, before the break, nor'easters, which is maybe something you haven't heard of since we don't deal with them here locally. If you ever have a question about the weather, you have a picture of the clouds, you want to know what is going on, you can scan this QR code right on your screen. It'll take you to a form to fill out that will get sent to us, and we will try as hard as we can to answer your question and dedicate some time to talk about it here on Wisconsin Weather Experts.
Yeah, and any questions, we will be glad to hopefully answer some of those as people send them in.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to take another step to Arizona as the leaves are starting to change in the colors there. We're also going to be tracking the colors changing at the Arizona Snow Bowl.
Beautiful.
The ski resort sent these images yesterday. It's fall season and it's open now, where you can take gondola rides and take in the gorgeous views there of the trees, no snow yet, and of course the leaves starting to change. Now this should last for about a few more weeks. Of course, then in many states we start to see the past peak areas, and eventually we know then that winter is on the way.
Yeah, and I've seen pictures of this area when it is at peak, and all of those trees are this vibrant golden yellow, and it's just the most stunning picture to see, especially if you were ever to see drone footage of that area. You can kind of see those colors right there. Imagine every single tree being that vibrant yellow. It's stunning.
It looks so beautiful.
And love it.
You know, one area that has that is Holy Hill.
Yeah.
Try to make it on your list to go every year. They have a lot of the golden yellow trees. I mean, it is so unreal to just sit in an area or even walk through some of the beautiful fall foliage. So again, here locally, just kind of continue to keep your eyes out. We're looking to have maybe a little bit of a shorter fall foliage season this year. However, the leaves are starting to change, and of course, it's just nice to take some time and get outside to enjoy.
Right, exactly. And we're only a few weeks away from Halloween, and we know that the end of October is also peak here when it comes to fall colors. But hey, guess what? It's spooky season at the Milwaukee County Zoo.
Fun.
Boo at the Zoo is back starting this weekend, October 17th through the 19th, and then October 24th through the 26th. So the next 2 weekends, there will be a trick-or-treat trail, live pumpkin carving demonstrations, light shows, and plenty more. You'll have to pre-purchase your tickets. We have a link to buy your tickets on the Fox Local mobile app. So check that out. Always a fun time.
I feel like this is up my alley. I'm not big into the spooky part of it, but this looks a little more fun and uplifting and lively for kids to actually enjoy Halloween and not be scared as much.
Yeah, it's a really, really cute event. And even if you go during the day before the actual event begins, you can see all the decorations.
I love it. Well, hopefully we'll have some good weather for that and good weather for apple picking, because that season continues. And believe it or not, here in Wisconsin, we have one of the country's best places to pick apples. Peck and Bushel Organic Fruit Company was recently ranked the 8th best apple orchard in the country by USA Today's 10 Best. The orchard on the list was nominated by an expert panel. Then readers were able to vote to determine the final results. The article boasts about the over 35 varieties of apples that you can find and pick them, of course, at Peck and Bushel, as well as their fresh pressed organic cider and homemade pies.
Yes, and I have been there before. I know we have so many amazing orchards, but it's also really nice to have the organic option, and it's just such a fun thing to do during the fall.
I've never been to this one, but because we have so many orchards across Wisconsin, so it's another one, I think, for families to add to the list. Each orchard locally, again, supports local, but there's different activities to do at each, different varieties to do at each, but 35, I don't think I'd be able to even have a taste of 35 apples.
I know,
to see
me
either.
But there you go. Add Boo at the Zoo and then Peck and Bushel to your weekend list if you still got to get apples, or of course, you know, pumpkins. There's a million places to get pumpkins around here too. We got to support our local businesses because we love them so much. All right, we covered a ton today. If you are tailgating, a reminder again that there is a little bit of rain in the forecast, but not until after the game. So tailgating should be just fine. Just layer up. Go Brewers!
Woo! We're gonna win!
We will see you here tomorrow at noon, hopefully talking about a Brewers win. Have a good day.